Good morning, everyone, on my YouTube friends. I'm here this morning, I'm in the art room, and I'm going to show you a little bit about taking care and cleaning your kiln shelves off as you need them. Occasionally they need to have some kiln wash on them, the old glaze that may be dripped on them, taken off. And so I need to do that. I've been having a couple issues with cone firing, so I'm going to do a demo on that today. So I've got 3 kiln shelves I'm going to be working on. And I'm going to start with this one right here. So there are some chips in that, and there's also some glaze on there. If there was kiln wash on the shelves, usually you can very simply just kind of take off the glazes that have dropped on there by grinding maybe, or just a little scraping. I'm just using a simple screwdriver right now. Okay, that one unfortunately I'm going to have to use a grinder on, which I don't have with me right today. So I'm going to move to another one. Okay, this kiln shelf really is in pretty good shape. I just scrape a little bit of loose stuff off. Anything like that. Then I'm going to wash it. I just use a sponge and clean water. And also by having it wet, that really helps with the adhesion of the kiln wash. So I'm going to just take a damp sponge and just simply wash everything off. Now this one does not have hardly any kiln wash on it. It should be much thicker than this to really protect it. In fact, I'm ending up taking quite a bit of it off at the moment. So what's on there is really coming off. So, but you need to do this with your shelves every once in a while. Shelves are expensive, as many of you probably know, and by taking care of them properly, you won't have pieces sticking to them. And of course that also depends on how you glaze and mount your pieces. But these are expensive to replace, so you just don't want to do that. So now this one really is prepared. For the most part, this one's ready to have some kiln wash applied to it. So now that it's rinsed off, today I'm using Amico's Kiln Shelf Wash. And so I'm going to go ahead and stop the video here, but I'll mix some up and then you can see me simply apply it. Be right back. Okay, I put some kiln wash powder. Like I said, I'm using Amico brand. You can buy this online, eBay, Amazon. You can get it pretty much any pottery supply store will also have it. And like I say, it's really important to take care of your kilns. Now, just like all pottery materials, you want to be careful not get this airborne. I just am using a little disposable cup here. You don't want to breathe any dust, so I carefully put it in this container. Now I'm just going to start slowly adding water. You want to kind of make not a super thin wash, but you want to have it kind of creamy, if you will, kind of the consistency of a milk or a cream when you put it on. Not like a paste or sour cream or something like that. You want it thinner than that, or thinner than that. But and then you want to mix it really well. I'm just using a little screwdriver here. You know, depending on the batch, you can use something larger. Okay, I just need a couple more drops. This is a little thin, not too bad though. Okay, that probably is about right. Now I'm gonna go ahead, since I spilled a little bit, let me get my sponge here. Kind of wipe this off again. Like I say, once you have this on one coat, let it dry. You're going to put should put at least 3 coats, and that'll protect your kiln. If you do get glaze on it, you'll be able to get it off fairly easy without grinding. This will really keep your pieces from sticking and cracking your pieces, ruining your pieces, as well as ruining your shelf. You know, you can make new pieces, but shelves you're going to have to buy, and that's not cheap. So now I just bought a cheap dollar paintbrush, and that's all I use to put it on. So basically I'm just going to dip it in here and then brush it on like so. Put it on in a good thick coat. Like I said, it should go on like paint, really. That's about the thickness you want it, just paint. And then you're gonna, like I say, 3 coats. So this will be the first coat. And I just brush it out so any little uneven wash gets kind of smoothed out. Don't do any voids. Leave any voids. Now you only have to do this on one side of your shelf. I recommend one side, leave the other side cleaned off, washed off, wiped off, keep it clean. You know, this stuff, if it falls and reacts with the glazes on the pieces underneath it, that's not good. It will change the way your piece will come out. So you want to put it on just the top side. Do not put it on the underneath where you have pieces that it may during the firing come off and land on them and possibly react with your glaze. Remember, it's chemically or whatever, the compounds on this are reactive. They will withstand temperature, but they can definitely react with your glaze, and it will give you unsatisfactory results then with your piece when you're done. So I just about have enough to finish this piece. And like I said, I'm just putting it on like so. I'll use up what I've mixed. Then I'm going to let this dry. It doesn't have to dry completely, but you want it to be fairly dry before you add another coat. So I'll use up what I've mixed here. Now the next time, as you can see, I'm going mostly crosswise. So the next coat I will apply in a different direction with my brush. Just helps with the coverage. Let me finish what I got here. And the shelf absorbs it, so the water. So you definitely want to let this dry a lot. Once you get your 3 coats on, let it dry. Don't throw it. Don't do this right before you put it in the kiln. If you do, you're gonna have to do just like you would with greenware. When you fire, you're gonna have to run it at a low temperature for a while. You want to make sure the water is completely dried out of the kiln wash as well as out of the kiln shelf itself, so that you don't have any issues with that. So I'm going to stop the video now. I'll start it up again, show you the second, third coat when we get there. and then later we will see the final product, and it'll be ready to go in the kiln and use for quite a few firings before you have to redo this. I do recommend you really wipe your shelves down each time you put them in the kiln. Just a very lightly, I mean almost dry, but not completely, a sponge, and just wipe it down real quick before you use it and start putting pieces on top of it. You want to have the kiln as clean as possible on the inside. As the heat rises, there's convection currents, and if they're moving dust particles and things around in the kiln and they happen to stick to your pieces, that could be a problem for pinholing and things like that. So just keep all those things in mind when you're getting ready to fire. Okay, I'll be back in a few minutes. Okay, I'm back for a second coat. Just something to keep in mind, depending on the kiln manufacturer, the shelf manufacturer, excuse me, most shelves kind of have a yellow tint to them, a yellowish tint. The glaze, I've used different brands of kiln wash before, and usually when they dry, they're pretty white. So that's one of the ways you can tell that you're getting it on thick enough. Each layer, you should see less and less of the yellow tint of the actual shelf, and it'll appear more white each time. That lets you know you're getting it on thick enough. And most of the time when you get it on thick enough, you won't even see the yellow through the kiln wash. It'll be a nice white color. So we're on our second coat. I could see a little yellow still after the first coat, which is fine. But again, like I say, we're going to build this up fairly thick. So put it on nice and smoothly. And I'm doing what I said I wasn't going to do. You want to run your brush strokes a different direction the second time. Just helps with the coverage. Just like when you glaze. If you guys don't know, when you run your glazes, your brush, when you're doing multiple layers, if you're brushing it on, you should run your brush in a different direction. It just helps with the overall coverage. Now I only had to wait about 5 minutes for the first layer to dry enough to where I can now put on the second one here. So I know sometimes the edges you want to kind of brush a different direction. At least I do. Just out of, I don't know why. Okay, that looks pretty good. A little bit along the edges. Now this is starting to build up pretty good, so that's what we want. We want it really pretty built up so that it really protects the shelf and actually will flake off if any glaze is on it. Fairly easy. It's not going to flake off just from the firing, but if you need to take the glaze drips off, it's when they actually get through the kiln wash and into the shelf itself. That's when they stick, and that's when you end up having to grind them, because if you try and chip or chisel them, you'll break the shelf. So anyway, there's 2. I'll come back and do 3 in a little bit. Okay, third of this stuff. Hello everyone, I'm back in the art room. I brought a grinder today. It's the following day. So I brought the grinder that I had and cleaned up the shelves that had glaze on them, and I just finished recoating them. So let me show you what they look like now. They're done. I just have to let them dry a little bit. When I do fire them in the kiln, I want to make sure that I do a preheat so that they're completely dry, so I don't have any problems with moisture getting in there. So let me show you what I ended up with. So sorry about that, I'm having some gimbal issues. So as I found some pieces that were loose, flaking a little bit, I scraped them all after I ground down, and then I ended up, most of them I just cleaned up and put more kiln wash like I previously said. I think before I said I put a 16th of an inch. That's way too thick. That was my mistake. It's really just 3 coats. When you mix the kiln wash, you want it not quite as thick as paint. Kind of more like somewhere between milk and cream as far as thickness. So, and then you'll end up like this. Like I say, I'll let these dry overnight. I'm going to load the kiln tomorrow, and then I will, when I fire, I have some bisqueware and some glaze that I'll be putting in. So I will do a fairly long preheat for the bisqueware and these shelves to dry out. So that's all for now. So I hope you learn something from this, and keep your shelves in good shape, and they'll last for years if you really take care of them. Best thing is prevention though. Keep glaze from dripping on them. You can use cookies, you can use stilts, wax your bottoms, anything like that. But just try and keep the glaze off the kiln shelves. That's usually when you get in trouble. Okay, have a good day, and I'll send another video your way soon. Bye.